Who was Prince Hall? There are certainly disagreements about who Prince Hall, or P. Hall was, and at various times the records of Massachusetts and the Continental Army refer to at least 3 Prince Halls and 1 Primus Hall. These were all different men, born at different times, who worked in different occupations, married different wives at different times, and died in different places at different times. There is disagreement regarding the origins and birth date of Prince Hall. Fred C. Taylor in his paper on Prince Hall Freemasonry notes that Prince Hall was born a freeman at Bridgetown, Barbados, British West Indies on September 12, 1748, but that his obituary notice in 1807 lists his age as 72, which would give a year of birth of 1735. Taylor writes that Hall's father was an Englishman, Thomas Prince Hall, a leather worker by trade. His mother was a freeborn, colored woman of French extraction. Little is known of his parents except that they were in humble circumstances and had a reputation for piety, sobriety, and industry, which qualities were passed to their son. Joseph A. Walks Jr., in his Black Square and Compass, 200 Years of Prince Hall Freemasonry, has undertaken extensive research into the origins of Prince Hall Freemasonry and its spread across the Western Hemisphere. Walks concludes, very emphatically, that Prince Hall was born in 1737 or 1738. This is borne out in part by the death notices appearing in Boston newspapers published on Monday, December 7, 1807, regarding the death of the, reportedly, 72-year-old Prince Hall. It is not at all clear precisely where he was born. The 104th Annual Communication Booklet of F&AM, PHA, notes that Prince Hall was apprenticed to a leather worker at the age of 12 and that he made rapid progress. Taylor notes that at the age of 17 Prince Hall worked his passage to Boston in a sailing ship, arriving there in March 1765, although this is not proven and generally found to be an unaccepted assumption regarding his place of birth and arrival in the 13 colonies. Never mind the belief that he immediately set to work as a leather merchant, and his thrifty nature permitted him, at the age of 25, to acquire real estate and the right to vote, or that he was also an earnest student of the Bible and became a Methodist minister, his first church being located in Cambridge, Massachusetts, both statements having appeared at various times in research papers dealing with Prince Hall. Walks notes that from about 1749 until 1770, Prince Hall was a servant in the family of William Hall, a respected citizen and property owner of Boston, who died in Boston on August 16, 1771, aged 75 years. He also records that on November 2, 1763, Prince Hall married Sarah, the first of 3 wives, the event being recorded in the Book of Marriages as Prince Neg. SVT, William Hall and Sarah Neg. SVT, Francis Ritchie. Sarah died 3 years later and her headstone was engraved, "Here lies ye body of Sarah Ritchie, wife of Prince Hall, died February the 26th, 1769, aged 24 years. In 1770 William Hall released Prince Hall and set him free. Prince Hall thereupon, according to Walks, went to Gloucester, Massachusetts, where he married Flora Gibbs. The register shows Prince Hall of Boston and Flora Gibbs of Gloucester married by Reverend Samuel Chandler, August 22, 1770. Legal records showed that on December 12, 1771, Prince Hall and his wife Flora filed a writ for damages against Francis Norwood, tide waiter of Gloucester, with the Sheriff of Essex County, 410-00-00. In the document, Prince Hall described himself as a free Negro of Boston, leather dresser, although Walks notes that from 1771 to 1776 there is a blank. in 1775 or Prince Hall, possibly the one we are interested in, applied to Hancock and Warren of the Committee of Safety to enlist slaves in the colonies into the revolutionary forces to fight against the British. The use of slaves in this fashion was rejected. Prince Hall, however, formed a committee of colored freemen consisting of Cyrus John Buss, Benton Slinger, Thomas Sanderson, Prince Taylor, Boston Smith, Peter Best, and others, and waiting of General George Washington, offering to enlist in the Patriot Army. Taylor states that Prince Hall enlisted in the Revolutionary Army on April 20, 1778, although the annual communication booklet shows he entered the army in February 1776, joining Captain Dillingham's company, and that the name Prince Hall appears on the Continental muster rolls. Prince Hall's activities in the army are unwritten. He was active in business and political life. His name appears in local newspapers and council records. A bill for 1-19-0, dated April 24, 1777, was charged by Prince Hall to Colonel Craft's regiment of artillery for 5 drumheads delivered at sundry times. He was assessed for poll taxes and real estate taxes in Boston in 1780, 1784, 1786, 1787 as Negro Grand Master to the Lodge, in 1788 as Freemason, and 1789, 1790, 1791, 1798, 1800, 1801, and 1803 as Worshipful Grand Master. As the tax lists were used as voting lists, they indicate his eligibility to vote in Boston. Taylor notes that after the war Prince Hall married Phoebe Baker, and they lived on Phillip Street, Boston until Prince Hall's death. Wilkes, on the other hand, notes that on June 28, 1804, Prince Hall married Zilpha or Zilpoid Johnson. After his death her name is shown as Silva, and she was appointed administratrix of his estate. Prince Hall died in Boston on December 4, 1807. A notice of his death was carried in 6 Boston newspapers. All the newspapers agree that he was 72 years of age at the time of his death, that he was master of African Lodge, and that a Masonic ceremony was held. Wilkes notes that the death notices do not tell where the remains were interred, although Taylor says he was buried with Masonic honors at Coppice Hill Cemetery, also known as Coppice Burying Ground, Boston. Wilkes notes that his first wife, Sarah Richery, who died on February 26, 1769, is located in the Coppice Hill Burying Ground, and on the reverse of her gravestone an epitaph to Prince Hall was added. Probably long after his death, here lies the body of Prince Hall, first Grand Master of the Colored Grand Lodge of Masons in Mass. Died December 7, 1807.